What's up, y'all? Come on in. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you all. Good afternoon. Do me a favor and share and tag. Get your people in here. Get your folks in. What's up? Everybody tag 5 people for me. I'm gonna go ahead and get started in about 1 minute. We'll go ahead and get started in about 1 minute. Come on, tag your people, get them in. All right. Good afternoon. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Um, Good afternoon. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, everybody that's coming in. Welcome back to Tuesday Noonday Nuggets. Listen. Yesterday we started on something this week, and that's our thought for this week, and that is it's all good. How um God was creating the heavens and earth. He was doing a lot. And then when he was able to step back and acknowledge what it is that he did, and he was able to call it good. So somebody ought to type all good, tag somebody right now and just say, what's up to everybody coming in? All good, all good, all good. And yesterday, our focus for the week is there. But then we said, let there be. Part two. Let there be. When God started talking and he said, let there be, things started happening. Ugh. Every time God said, let there be, something happened. And then the outcome was good. Yeah. You got to know, you must know that every time in your life concerning your situation, the Lord says, let there be, it's gonna end good. It's not only is it gonna end good, but it's gonna all end good. And what did it say on the sixth day? He did all when he saw all that he did, he stepped back and he said, this is very good. So um, we got to know. We're gonna take it from the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth, right? And He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Who's texting me? Uh, okay, yeah. He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. But I looked at that, and I said, God was a bad man. Number one, he created the heavens and the earth, and then the spirit of God was hovering. But then he was able to look and see that it was the earth was without form and void, and said, I need to do something about this. I need to do something about this. And so what that let me see, I was able to, what's up to everybody that's coming in? Number one, that God had the necessary leeway. Y'all gonna grab it. He had the necessary leeway that was needed. And I looked up the definition. Leeway by definition is the amount of freedom available. When you have some leeway, there is a certain degree of freedom that is available to you. So guess what? God had all the leeway necessary. The earth is the Lord's, right? And the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. So God didn't need permission. Can I tell you that God to do what it is that you're believing him for, he don't need nobody's permission. When God sees you, right? He sees you void, he sees you lacking, he sees you without, and when he decides to do something about it, can I tell you, nobody has to sign a permission slip for God to do it. Can I tell you that nobody has to sign a permission slip for him to do it? He ain't got to go to no higher authority. He is, and because God is the greatest power, he does not need a permission slip. Can I tell you, this is how I know that he's sovereign. This is how I know that we serve the God that can be late to us and on time for your situation. Why? Because he is God, and beside him there is no. He didn't need no permission. Can I tell you that God has all the leeway he needs to blow your mind? Can I tell you that God has everything that's needed? All of the leeway that's needed, he already got. Why? Because he is the Jehovah God. He is the eternal, self existent one who keeps his covenant promises to his covenant people. Shout out to Pastor Whalen. But what you need to know is that if there is any leeway, God, listen, God has all the freedom, he has all the space, he has all the time, right? He has everything that's needed to blow your mind. So, number one, he has leeway. He has all of the leeway that's needed. But number two, y'all better grab this today. Not only does he have the leeway, but he also has the leverage. He has the power to influence excuse me, let me back up. Leverage is power to influence a situation to achieve a particular outcome. Say it again. Leverage is power to influence a situation to achieve a particular outcome. So, guess what? Not only did he have the leeway, but he also has the leverage. Who can tell him, no, God, you can't do that? He has the power to influence. He has the power to manipulate. He has the power to change and to. I talked about. We look at manipulation in a bad way, but you got to also understand that that God had the power, and God having the power to manipulate it, He can make it work for your good. All right. So not only does God have leeway, but God also has leverage. And because, listen, can I tell you that when God created you and he made you in his likeness and in his image and he gave you dominion, can I tell you that he also gave you some leverage? Yeah, somebody ought to type the word leverage. Can I tell you, can I remind you that you've got some leverage, the power to influence a situation to achieve a particular outcome? How do you, so when he gave you, when he made you, before he formed you in your mother's womb, he knew you and gave you leverage. He gave you something to work with. He gave you dominion. He gave you authority, and that gives you leverage. What is Jesus tells us in Luke 10 and 19, behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and all powers of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means harm you. Can I tell you that because we have power, that gives us leverage over the enemy, that gives us the power to influence? When he gave us life and death in the power of our tongue, come on here, what you got to know is that he gave us power to influence a situation to achieve a particular outcome. Can I help you today and tell you that the outcome you desire, you've already got the necessary leverage for it? And how do you tap into that? And that is by way of using your voice. That comes by way of using the authority that God has given you. So how do I leverage this situation? How do I turn this? How does this shift? By me using the power that he has given me, life and death in the power of my tongue. Somebody ought to be, y'all heard me say yesterday, and I'll say it again. This is the season for you to use your words. And if you can't use your word, not only do you use your words, you've got to use his word. Come on here. Why? Because when you use your word and his word together, guess what? He's going to respond to his word automatically. But when he responds to his word and he see you using his word and your words by faith, he will also respond to your faith. The Bible tells us that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seeks him. So how do we make this make sense? Number one, he had the necessary leeway. He had the freedom that was needed. Wasn't nobody going to stop him. He didn't have to get a permission slip. But then not only that, he also had the power to influence this situation to achieve a particular outcome. He knew what he wanted the outcome to be. This is why he said it's dark. It's without form. It's void. The Spirit of God is here, but it needs something else. It needs a little razzle dazzle. So you know what? Let there be light, and boom, there was light. Can I tell you that at the moment that you use the degree of leverage that you've got, you will achieve the particular outcome. You will achieve the desired outcome. This is why I believe that Jeremiah 29 and 11 speaks to us, and it applies to our life, because it tells us that we will come into the Lord's expected end for us. So regardless of what your expectation is of yourself and what your expectation is of a particular situation, I'm just trying to tap into what God's expectation of me is. I just want to see what God's expectations for my life look like. What's up, Marissa? So you got to understand, guess what? He has given you leverage. And we're going to unpack it a little bit. How does this make sense for us? So if he has the leeway and he has the leverage, how do we see it manifest? It's something that kind of came to me today, and we're going to go with it. I'm calling it the let factor. Think about it. God, he created the heavens, he created the earth, and it was without form, and it was void, and dark. Let there be. Let there be. He said, let there be. So it was a moment. So in me looking up the definition, today was the definition day, I guess. I looked up the word let. I looked up the term let. And in me seeing let, the definition was to allow or to make something happen. So what does that mean to us? When God said, let there be light, he said I'm about to make this happen. So what you've got to do in saying let there be, in moving in a let there be, in getting a let there be down in your spirit, what you've got to do is tap into the let factor, is what I want to call it. And in tapping into the let factor, that affords you the opportunity, that gives you, that's your grace to make something happen. But the way that the Lord said it to me is that when we tap into the let factor, we tap into targeted intentions by way of our words. Can I say it again? The let factor is when we have targeted intentions by way of our words. So what am I saying? At the moment that you say, let there be light, here it is. This is a targeted intention by way of my words. So now, how do I apply this to my everyday life? I'm glad you asked. When I say let there be healing, this is me sending the word. This is me sending my prayer and my focus in the direction of healing. Targeted intention by way of my words. So when you tap into the let factor, you have targeted intentions. Let there be peace. Let there be joy. Let there be freedom. Let there be, you fill in the blank. These are targeted intentions by way of your words. Could it be the reason that we have not seen the desired end result is because our words are misguided? Could it be the reason that we haven't seen it happen the way we would have wanted and the way that we would have thought is simply because our words are misguided? What? And when you pray, and when you pray, believe that you have received. You saying it, but do you believe what you saying to the degree that you have received it? You have not because you ask not. And when you do ask, you ask amiss. Yes, you're asking, but you're asking for the wrong thing. Bible tells us that when we delight ourselves in the Lord, he will give us the desires of our heart. And y'all have heard me say time and time again, it ain't so much that he gives us what we want, but he shows us what to want because he knows what he already has for us. So what we've got to do, we've got to have targeted intentions. You've got to tap into the let factor. When you say let there be, you have targeted intentions. Listen, I'm releasing my faith for the sake of fill in the blank. Somebody ought to just type, let there be. Why? Because I believe that in the days to come, as we begin to apply this, as we begin to tap into this, when we say, let there be, this is where our intentions are targeted by way of our words. So yesterday I was sitting and the Lord was talking to me and he said, release to the people that we have to be careful of the words that we speak. Jesus said, these words that I speak, they are spirit and they are life. But we also have to be mindful of blessings and curses coming from the same mouth. You've got to be careful of what you see, what you say. So this is why you can't be saying if it's one, it ain't one thing, it's another. Why? Because it's going to be that. He gave you life and death in the power of your tongue. So what you've got to do, you've got to have targeted intentions by way of your words. The centurion knew the power that Jesus possessed, so he told him, you don't have to come to my house, but what? Speak the word only. Targeted intentions by way of your words. When you tap into the what I'm going to call the let factor, when you tap into a let there be, when you get a let there be anointing, when you get a let there be grace, however you want to call it, whatever you want to do, when you go through your home, when you speak over your children and begin to decree and declare, let there be, guess what? The atmosphere has no other choice than to respond to your targeted intentions. So what you've got to do, you've got to be that much more mindful of the words that you speak. Let there be. The let factor is what you allow. It's going to be what you make happen. It's going to be what you say. It's going to be what you say. You're going to see it as you say it. However you say it, that's how you're going to see it. It's the let factor. Let there be. When God said, let there be light, there was. He did it, and then he was able to stand back and say, this is good. So you got to understand that when you tap into the let factor, you have targeted intentions by way of your words. Let, by definition, is to allow or to make something happen. How are you going to make it happen? By way of your words. You've got to start decreeing and declaring, let there be. If that blessed you, let me see some hearts real fast. If that blessed you, let me see some hearts real quick. Yeah, let there be targeted intentions. You got to be able to speak. You got to be able to decree a thing. You got to decree it to establish it. You got to call those things that be not as though it were. When you pray, pray believing that you have received these things and you will have them. This is what does it tell us in, I believe is in 1 John, Pastor Kim, and this is the assurance that we have that when we pray, he hears us. You got to pray like he hear you. You got to pray like he's going to respond. Let there be. Let there be. So there's a let factor. And so then from there, God said what? Let there be light. Simple. What the Lord gave me today for this is that when you start walking in the light, you start walking in that which alters darkness. Darkness was forever canceled at the moment that God said, let there be light. Can I tell you that he is calling us? He is calling you, bless you, Bishop. He is calling you to walk in the light. He's calling you to be light. What? He's calling you, he wants you, right? And you moving forward in the let there be light, that which alters darkness. Can I tell you that God is wanting to use you to alter darkness? Can I tell you that God is wanting to use you to light up a room? He's wanting to use your smile. He's wanting to use your voice. He's wanting to use your yes. Somebody needs what it is that you bring to the table. So what you've got to do is you've got to be salt. Come on in here, Matthew. You've got to be willing to be salt and light. You got to be willing to let your light shine, right? What does the word tell us? Let your light so shine so that men would see the good works, but the Father in heaven will be glorified. I'm paraphrasing. Light is that which alters darkness. At the moment that God said, let there be light, darkness was no longer a factor. Can I say that when you show up to the rooms, when you show up to the tables, when you show up to the service, when you show up to the family function, when you show up to the kickback, can I tell you that darkness will no longer be an issue when you show up and commit to letting your light shine? Yeah, you've got to be the light. You've got to be that which alters darkness. This people have heard me say, especially in church, that you've got to carry yourself in such a way that people will respect the mantle. People will respect the anointing. People will respect the office that you walk in. You got to be the light. Yeah, I know you're tired, but you still got to let your light shine. You got to be the light. What? That which alters darkness. It will only stay as dark as you allow it. Whoa! It will only be dark until you show up. Oh, thank you. The Lord said it will only be as dark as you have a tolerance for it to be dark. So it'll stay dark as long as you let it stay dark. What you've got to do, you've got to be the light. You've got to be the light. It will stay dark as long as you have a tolerance for darkness. Could it be the reason, that we have landed ourselves in the predicaments that we have landed ourselves in is because we were moving around and bumping around in the dark? And God is saying, I've called you to be the light. I've called you to be a light. I've called you to be a light. So guess what? They keep having the accidents. They keep bumping into what they're bumping into and having, and it's uncomfortable because you're not letting your light shine. You've got to be the light, that which alters darkness. And after my last one, I'm early. Then it's on you to live. So if light alters darkness, it's then on you to live or function in the alteration that the light caused. Listen, he said, let there be light, and there was. And then he was able to have night and day. Come on, morning and evening. It was then Hey, it was then on those that will come, they were going to live based on the light. Oh, God, thank you. They were going to live based on the light. Can I tell you that in this season of our lives, guess what? We will live, others will live based on the light. Live, function in the alteration. When you show up, darkness ought to go somewhere else. Darkness ought to never be a problem. When he has called us to be salt and light, no. It's then on us to live and function in the altered state. It's on us to live and function in the altered state. How do you alter darkness? By showing up and being the light. I'm done early today. So let there be part 2. God had the leeway. He didn't need nobody's permission. He had the leverage. He had the power to influence the situation to achieve a particular outcome, because God is the greatest power, will never be defeated. Then from there, you've got to let some stuff be. You got to tap into the let factor. Tapping into the let factor. Targeted intentions by way of your words. That's the let factor. Let there be. Targeted intentions. Saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and expecting nothing less than what it is that you have said. The let factor. From there, there's got to be some light. That which alters darkness. You have to be the light in dark spaces. You got to be the light in dark spaces. And if you do all of that, you move in that, guess what? Then you'll live. You'll function in the altered space. Let there be. Somebody, tag you somebody right now. Tag you somebody right now that needs to hear this. I'm done early. I'm going to give you some time to sit with it today. Tag you somebody that needs to hear this. If you came in late, I recommend going back. Do me a favor, if you have not, like it, share this today. Share this today. All right? Y'all be blessed. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.